Coming up on Naperville News 17, a diversity discussion to bring the community closer. A 15-year-old reaches new heights in Nepal, and the cutest sign of spring shows up at Fermilab. Hello everyone, I'm Kim Pierce. Thanks for joining us for this week's Naperville News. A diversity discussion hosted by Naperville Neighbors United brought about 100 people to the Municipal Center. Naperville News 17's Casey Krajewski has the details.
After the success of the first Naperville Neighbors United diversity discussion, the group wanted to open the floor to others who have ideas to make Naperville more inclusive.
The big thing for this one was to make sure we got to the breakout session. So we wanted to keep a little bit of the flavor of the first one by having some speakers, but this time by having the breakout sessions, now every voice in the room has an opportunity to be heard.
Representatives from various levels of government, as well as other community and religious leaders, joined in the discussion and listened to residents. Barbara O'Meara started the discussion with stories about her experience in a same-sex relationship living in Naperville.
It's not major things that happen. They're not overt. They're not loud. It's the quiet things that happen. It's the attorney, when we bought our first house, who switched joint tenancy for tenants in common because he was going to protect her family from me.
She was followed by Will County Board member Dr. Mimi Cowan, who discussed the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA program. Cowan told a story of a student she taught who was a DACA recipient, and then quizzed the audience about the program. The crowd then broke off into small groups to discuss what inclusion means to them and potential steps Naperville could take to become a more welcoming community.
And as we bring in people from different demographics within our community, what that will allow us to do is to have conversation. And when we can have conversation, that's going to spark understanding amongst all these different demographics that we have in our community.
Feedback from small group facilitators allowed a word map to be generated during the discussion.
We have to stand up. If we have a platform, if we have a voice, we have to represent those that don't.
For Naperville News 17, I'm Casey Krajewski.
The group is also screening the documentary I Am MLK Jr. at Showplace 16 on June 13th. For more information, you can go to the Naperville Neighbors United Facebook page. Diversity was also the topic for District 203's most recent Focus 203 Community Engagement Session.
We've been doing work around diversity and inclusion for a while, but now we have a renewed focus specifically on that work. So it was important for the community to hear about the efforts that we've made to work towards doing more in regards to diversity and inclusion, and to get their feedback and just engage the communities to further that discussion to make sure that we're on the right path.
Dr. Leeks discussed 4 priority areas the district is currently focusing on. Those include examining hiring practices to have a more diverse workforce, looking at systemic inequities to see how they contribute to learning gaps, and holding district-wide implicit bias training.
Another is a curriculum review. So we'll have a chance to look at what we're teaching students and how we're teaching them, and to make sure that it's inclusive of diverse perspectives and experiences, as well as representative of the variety of cultures that we have in our district.
After hearing from speakers, attendees worked in groups to give their input for ways 203 can be more inclusive. If you missed this Focus 203 session, you can find the full presentation on the district website. A new contract with District 203's Teachers Union has been approved. The Naperville Unit Education Association, or NuEA's new 1-year contract will provide a base salary increase of 1.75%. The average returning teacher salary will increase by 3.88%, and the total additional salary cost to the district is 1.61%.
The spirit throughout the entire process has been very collaborative and thoughtful about ensuring that we have an environment that always thinks about how we best serve our kids, but honors, respects, and values the professionalism and the commitment of our educators in the school district, because we know a lot of our success is attributed to the work that is done by those educators.
The NuEA contract is for the 2019 to 2020 school year. and becomes effective July 1st. The board also learned which schools' learning commons would be getting some renovations this summer. Scott Elementary, Beebe Elementary, and Kennedy Junior High will each get modernized learning commons.
Our process for design aims to create new spaces that enhance 4 key focal areas: innovation and creation, inquiry and research, literacy growth, and communication and collaboration.
It's estimated that combined, all 3 updates will cost a total of $679,828. These renovations will make the total number of district learning commons updates to 15. Naperville native James Holzhauer continues to break records on Jeopardy! But to those close to him, his streak was no shock. Naperville News 17's Christine Lena has their stories.
In late March, we were at Blue Malnati's when they were in town from Vegas, and that's where they kind of broke the news. But I remember when the check came, I was like, oh, I'll pick that up, and he and his wife were like, no, we'll get that. It's okay. And now I kind of understand why.
It was no surprise to Naperville resident Ian Holzhauer that his younger brother James made it on Jeopardy! But the popularity he's gained couldn't have been predicted.
We were at Hugo's Frog Bar, and it was really amazing. Like, the whole bar, the people we didn't know were really cheering on James. And when he got his first Daily Double, like, the place just erupted. So it's been really neat to see the Naperville community come together.
The brother's former AP European history teacher says James was never one for being in the limelight, but always knew the answers.
He was fairly quiet in my class, but I could always rely on him. If no one could answer the question, I would kind of look in his direction, and he might sort of halfway raise his hand and give an answer.
James now lives in Las Vegas, where he works as a professional sports bettor. But his love of Jeopardy! Was born right here in Naperville.
My brother's 2 favorite things to do in the afternoon were either to watch the Cubs or to watch Jeopardy! And he would do that with my grandmother. My grandmother immigrated from Japan to come help raise us. She didn't speak a lot of English, and my brother said she didn't really understand the clues, but she just liked spending the time with him. And so he had said he'd always promised her that one day he would be on Jeopardy! And make her proud.
Currently with over $1 million in winnings, James is the 2nd highest Jeopardy! Winner of all time and holds several of the top slots for highest single-day winnings. To catch the all-time winner, Ken Jennings, he'll need to get past $2.52 million. Reporting for Naperville News 17, I'm Christine Lena.
Full disclosure, Ian Holzhauer serves on NCTV 17's board and has been a game show contestant himself, as he was featured on our very own Game On. After the break, teaching gets a graphic twist thanks to a local teacher and his new book.
From practice to homework to home improvement to bills, your days are busy. That's why Busey offers innovative financial solutions like our mobile app. Deposit checks, transfer funds, and keep your financial life in order, no matter where you are. Whether you're saving for college, keeping the family in the family business, or planning your dream retirement, Busey's your trusted partner to make your personal, business, and wealth management dreams a reality. Busey, your dream, our promise.
It's going to take someplace special to stand out in Freedom Commons, and Shinto Sushi is up to the challenge. You get the highest quality service and amazing ambiance. Shinto Sushi Freedom Commons takes their plate presentation to the next level. From the bento box lunch specials, to the exquisite sashimi plates, to teriyaki platters, to new twists on Japanese classics. Shinto Freedom Commons masters the art of service and Japanese cuisine.
A high school architecture class got students involved with a local landmark. Our own Christine Lena tells us about their Green Farm Barn Design Challenge.
We want paintball, ropes course, escape room, and another small thing, rock climbing.
Well, paintball I wasn't expecting.
Although a bit surprising, these unique ideas for repurposing the Green Farm Barn got the Forest Preserve District of DuPage County excited to hear more.
Seeing this project go from the mind and vision of Bill Green back in the 1970s when he allowed the property to be acquired by the Forest Preserve District. And his ideas for the future, he was a very well-educated man and successful businessman, and he understood that times change. And so from 1971 to 2019, things have changed. And I think he would be thrilled with this exercise.
The farmstead has sat vacant since 1971. Now area high schools are adding to the Forest Preserve's conversation about the barn's purpose. Architecture classes taught at both Naperville Central and Naperville North focused a semester-long project on just that.
I mean, it's very hands-on. It's from the beginning of the idea process, from transferring it to floor plans and actually designing the buildings, then making the 3D models, then actually presenting it. It's just a huge process to do, and we only had 3 months to do it.
Many ideas for possible uses of the 19th century barn preserve its history, such as a museum. Others are bringing it into the 21st century, like turning it into a bistro. After each team presented, the 10 community judges picked ATP Architecture as the overall concept winner for their garden-based proposal. They'll be recognized at the May 7th City Council meeting. Reporting for Naperville News 17, I'm Christine Lena.
The Green Farm Barn's new ad hoc committee is expected to make a recommendation on the use for the property by next fall. Congratulations to this year's winners of the 4 Under 40 Awards. The Naperville Area Chamber of Commerce recognized Harley Jones of 360 Youth Services, Catherine Ross of Ross Creative Works, Matt Doyle of Hulsey Cross Country Mortgage, and Renee McLassick of the DuPage Children's Museum.
We really wanted to find a great way to bring in future leaders into the chamber. And we thought the best way to identify those future leaders was to create criteria and then create an event for under 40 so that we could have all of these amazing young leaders in the room together at one event and recognize what they're doing in and around our community.
30 applicants were narrowed down to 4 based on their leadership in the community and their businesses, as well as demonstrating excellence in work-life balance. This was the Chamber's 4th annual 4 Under 40 Awards. Josh Stumpenhorst's newest novel aims to shape future relationships between teachers and students. Naperville News 17's Christian Kenizal has the story.
Josh Stumpenhorst's new book, Drawn to Teach, shows readers the wide scenarios classrooms face every day, from fart noises to bullying.
You know, and there's things that we experience, and they're just so outlandish, and I wanted to bring that into it so that any teacher looks at it and goes, well, this is real. It's not some, expert who doesn't teach. This makes sense to me in my classroom today.
Stumpenhorst was inspired by another graphic novel to write his very own.
I'd read Dan Pink. He wrote a book called The Adventures of Johnny Bunko, and it was a graphic novel for business people. And I thought, this is kind of unique, and I love graphic novels. My sons love graphic novels, and I thought, I don't think anybody's done that before for teachers.
Each chapter of the book is divided into 2 sections: the issue that may occur in a classroom and ideas on how to resolve it. The Illinois Teacher of the Year says each scenario and solution is case by case.
One community is different than the next. Kids at Lincoln are different than kids at Washington. And so it's all about knowing your kids to the best of your ability as a teacher and getting them what they need.
Stumpenhorst paid homage to the people that affected him and his educational career.
All these characters are people. It's like this guy teaches at Lincoln with me. She's the Teacher of the Year with me from Minnesota. This is a former student who's just an inspiring kid. Wow. That I've turned into a little bit older lady.
The goal of the book is to help build and strengthen relationships between teachers and students.
Sometimes we lose sight that it's about the kids. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And that's what we have to remember all the time.
For Naperville News 17, I'm Christian Kenizal.
Stumpenhorst will have a read-along on Instagram until May 5th. You can follow along with the hashtag #DrawnToTeach. In January, we spoke with Sydney Poole, a 15-year-old who was training for a hike up to Mount Everest Base Camp. Now that she's back, our own Casey Krajewski brings us the update.
New friends, dozens of yaks, and views that very few people get to see. Those are just some of Sydney Poole's highlights from her 2-week trip to Nepal.
I don't know if I could pick one. It'd probably have to be either the team and the people we were with, or just the views. It was incredible.
Sydney, her dad, and her stepmom started their trek at an altitude of about 9,000 feet in Lukla. and traveled to Mount Everest Base Camp at 17,500 feet. She trained extensively on the treadmill to prepare for the rigorous hike.
I definitely think the training was helpful, especially for like endurance, but it's so different when you're walking on a trail and you're constantly trying not to step on the wrong rock and fall over. That's a lot different than the treadmill.
Sydney flew back with her stepmom after reaching their destination, but her father Rick stayed and is currently making the journey to Mount Everest's peak, 29,029 feet in the sky.
It was kind of sad because, I'm going to miss my dad, of course, but it was easier than some of his other trips because I can picture where he is. I know what base camp looks like, what his tent looks like, and I know all the people he's with. And obviously I'm so proud of him for doing this.
Reaching new heights at just 15 years old. For Naperville News 17, I'm Casey Krajewski.
Sydney's dad is expected to summit Everest between May 20th and 25th. Coming up, North Central College students share some perks of a new project on campus.
Shop downtown Naperville this spring with over 100 shops from national favorites to one-of-a-kind boutiques, plus over 50 restaurants and health and beauty options too. Downtown Naperville is the premier shopping destination in the western suburbs. And don't forget about Downtown Naperville gift cards. They make a perfect gift for every occasion. Come shop, dine, stay, and have fun in downtown Naperville.
What's the matter, boy? What are you trying to tell me? Is something wrong?
We live in a safe community, but not a crime-free community. If you see something, say something.
Naperville Animal Crime Stoppers.
Yes, I'd like to report a case of animal cruelty and neglect.
Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves.
April 22nd was Earth Day, and the Forest Preserve District of DuPage County took part by hosting a pick-me-up. About 20 volunteers came out to help pick up litter found in Springbrook Prairie.
With over 500 miles of boundaries within the county, it's very difficult for our small amount of staff to be able to clean everything up. So it is important for us to get volunteers out to help with events like this.
Once the snow is gone, more trash is found. And with more trash comes the need for more volunteers.
I always like to think every day is Earth Day. It's not just today or this week that the earth needs help and that we pick up trash. It's every day of the year could use some help.
SIMA asks people to be mindful of their trash when visiting the preserves and avoid throwing trash out the car window. Volunteers are welcome to do their part any time of the year by calling the preserve to set up a day and time to help keep our earth clean. Turning Point Autism Foundation showcased 2 short movies at their film festival. NCTV 17's Christian Canizal was there to tell us their stories.
In honor of Autism Awareness Month, Turning Point held their inaugural film festival. The nonprofit teamed up with academia to bring the reality of living with autism to the screen through 2 films.
One of the best ways to create awareness is connection, and I think we can all agree now film and video is one of the best ways we all connect. So the idea of a film festival was fun.
The videos depict the real-life issues faced by 2 young men.
They're going to show you how any person is capable of doing something that he or she is passionate about, and showing that how capable you can be regardless of what society or situations tries to define you.
The pleasing list follows Jonathan Carlander as he goes on a first date. The film shows the struggles those with Asperger's syndromes may have in a crowded place.
Chris, are you all right?
Hi guys, any drinks to start with? Sir, is everything all right?
The second film was A Life with Asperger's. The animated documentary portrays the life of Ed McGoodman and how he's had to overcome anxiety and social isolation.
So the number of people didn't really seem to matter as much, just so long as I was actually able to talk to someone. I mean, I would try to say things and they would often sort of float over them, like
Goodman hopes by sharing some of his story, he can break through some barriers and bring people into his world with a better understanding.
You can grow up to live, an independently fulfilling life. And
Yeah, that's probably the thing I'm the most proudest of with the Life with Asperger's film.
For Naperville News 17, I'm Christian Canizo.
A new project is brewing up excitement at North Central College. Naperville News 17's Casey Krajewski has the story.
College students drink a lot of coffee, but at North Central College's Coffee Lab, they're doing just as much learning as caffeinating. Enactus is an organization that promotes entrepreneurial-based projects for NCC students. This lab is their latest venture, focusing on the business of coffee. Some got the chance to get involved from the grounds up.
I got to travel to Guatemala 2 years ago, and that was so fun to meet our partners and really see the whole process from seeing it on the tree all the way to like the finished product is so surreal to see.
Taking the product from bean to barista requires students in various fields of study to pitch in.
Across campus, we're connecting the Coffee Lab with classes in a lot of different disciplines. So, engineering, chemistry, biology, environmental science, even in the businesses such as like accounting through manufacturing a finished product, marketing and sales. So there's a lot of different classes that'll be able to integrate with the Coffee Lab.
McGurry said after 2 years of planning, it finally felt like the lab was coming together when the 1,200-pound roaster arrived. It was a handful to get into the building, but it opens a lot of doors for the young entrepreneurs.
We can also brew things now. That wasn't really an option before, so being able to practice that and really see how we can make our coffee the best and what brewing methods we like and what roast types we like and stuff like that.
The lab can also be a showcase for other projects North Central students are involved in.
With taste testings, another pairing with coffee is like a chocolate. So being able to have events and have people in this space brings them in for the coffee, but opening that for our chocolates and being able to say, hey, this is also another one of our projects that we do in Guatemala.
A grand opening for the space is scheduled for May 17th, but students have already learned so many valuable lessons about entrepreneurship.
Just the way that it's grown in the past couple years has just been honestly so amazing. It's been so great to be a part of because now I've seen, I feel like I've just gained such intangible skills throughout this process.
Taking learning from the classroom to the cup. For Naperville News 17, I'm Casey Krajewski.
The lab is expected to roast between 75 and 100 pounds of beans per week once the facility is fully operational. Up next, Lady Lightning strikes at the World's competition.
High standards have been set for this 2019 Lady Lightning team.
This team has a lot of pressure just being on Lady Lightning and being that team because we were world champions in 2014, world champions in 2017.
Shannon Young is a co-owner of Ice Cheerleading along with Darlene Fanning, who founded the company in 1998. In the 20 years since, Ice has become a powerhouse, not just in the Midwest, but in the world, and has a following and expectations to match its status.
We have this fan base and you have all these fans that are cheering for you, so when you go out, it's like you have the whole crowd rooting for you, so it's such a big deal.
You know that you're there with the best of the best, and being not really a small gym, but being a well-known gym from the Midwest, it's really it puts a weight on your shoulders and you definitely have to lift up to the challenge.
Minnie Frank is 18 and a 10-year member of ICE, though this is her 5th year on the Lady Lightning. That means the veteran has experienced the exhilaration of winning the world competition.
You're going for the biggest title that you can get, and this is what you've been training for all year, so when we go, we're always ready, we have a routine ready, and you know that everyone's there cheering for you.
Meanwhile, Blesson McMorris is still aiming to win her first world competition for Lady Lightning, with this being her 2nd year on the team and 4th overall with ICE. And the stress of trying to perform at the highest level and for the highest prize is a key focal point as they approach the end of the season.
Darlene, she really teaches us, like, even like everyone has nerves, like even the best teams, even the teams that everyone fangirls about. But it's like she tells us, like, we practice it even here, like taking the nerves and like using them and making it positive energy to go out and like hit your routine.
And that's precisely what they did in their annual showcase, which they posted online to rave reviews.
We're always pretty quiet all year, and then at this time of the season, we always come out with a video from our showcase. And I think this is the most it's ever really blown up on Twitter and social media.
And that is an understatement. The video has gone viral with 400 retweets and 1,600 likes, not to mention countless comments glowing about the prospects of winning Worlds. And should they follow through on what looks like a promising season, they'd be bringing the title back to Naperville.
To be able to represent the United States at Worlds, to represent Illinois, and then Naperville, it's an honor, and it's something that we take so much pride in, because there's so many places a world championship can go, and there's no better place than to bring it back here to Naperville.
A high standard has been set, but the Lady Lightning look up to the challenge of raising it even higher. Reporting for Naperville News 17, I'm Kevin Jackman.
And if you have a sports feature idea we should know about, you can send it in to newstips@nctv17.com. The first baby bison of the season have arrived at Fermilab. After this calf was born on April 20th, it was grazing around the 80-acre pasture within days. The particle physics laboratory is better known for research than ranching, but Fermilab's bison are an attraction for visitors every summer, and they serve as an important symbol for the site.
Bison initially were brought by Dr. Robert Wilson, first director of the lab. They're here as part of an analogy, so to speak, with the frontier of the Wild West, and Fermilab being on the frontier of physics.
The herd is expecting several more calves to be born over the next few weeks. Visitors are welcome to observe the bison and take pictures free of charge between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. daily. But the bison grow quickly, so you better hurry if you want to see the adorable newborns. And if you decide to visit, make sure to bring a photo ID to show at the gate. And that's what's happening right here in your neighborhood, Naperville. We'll see you next week. Until then, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course our webpage, nctv17.com, for daily updates.
This week's Naperville News 17 is brought to you in part by the following sponsors. This program is partially funded by a grant from the City of Naperville.